Good morning. My name's Rob Gooding. I'm the CEO of the Rutland Learning Trust. Been the CEO here for just over 10 years. Loved every minute of it, the highs, the lows, things that have gone well, the things that have been challenging, even through COVID. Yes, before I came into education, I was an apprentice professional footballer, and what that allowed me to do was get into schools, and because I started to enjoy that experience, it then meant that I became a teacher, deputy head teacher, did some work with school improvement, advisory, for my sins became an Ofsted inspector for a while, then became the head teacher at one of the schools in the trust, and then fortunate enough that we developed a family of schools and that collaboration, a federation, and then we created the trust itself. So across the Rutland Learning Trust, we've now got 13 schools, small rural primary schools across 3 different counties. So Rutland, we've got North Northants and West Northamptonshire. All of the schools are different. We've got all their unique characteristics. We've got one school that's on a barracks, which is very different to a small rural church primary school. Our vision is about working together, sustaining excellence and transforming learning, and that's authentically lived. When mums and dads come round or teachers speak to us and they say, what's the best thing about the trust? Often they say things like our standards are high, or Ofsted reports, or teachers' curriculum. Whilst all of those things are important to us, what's most important to us is relationships, and those relationships that we inculcate and nurture with each other on a daily basis. And if you walked into the playground or you walked into the staff room, you'd see that our vision is authentically lived. I think what makes us unique is the DNA of the trust is, like I said, it's all about building relationships. It's the foundation of everything that we do. We've got a mantra across the trust that children and pupils come equal first. I know that there's the tired mantra that children must come equal first, but if you don't look after your staff, the children can't get the best deal. So if we can energise and make them fresh, then the children get the best deal. So that's our first USP. Our second USP is, although standards are relatively high across the trust, we believe in lifelong learning as well. So what we try to do is we try to put systems and processes in place so that the children have got great lifelong skills, that when they go to Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4, they continue to thrive and continue to flourish. And we've got data to suggest that because we put those learning to learn skills, or those learning dispositions, or those character curriculum in place, that our children make more progress and attain higher grades than most other schools because of the work that we do on character, relationships, nurture and development, those sort of things. And another USP is that we, like I said, authentically and deliberately ask our schools to retain their unique characteristics. We want them to be representative of their local community. We think that the best decision makers are the people who are in the school, in the community, so we delegate quite a lot of responsibility to the schools because they're best placed to make the decisions. What we do is we put a supportive framework in the background to enable those decisions to be made. We first heard about the Schools Advisory Service when we were looking at renewing our contracts, and we were looking at a variety of different factors. It wasn't just about value for money, although I do genuinely think SAS do provide great value for money. It was more than that. It was the additional services that they could provide that could enhance the things that we were doing in school. So what attracted us to it was the wellbeing package, the app that we use. There's lots of members of staff across the trust that keep telling me, we've used the physio, we've used the doctor service, we've used the menopause training, we've used the counselling. That's just 3 or 4 of the 20 or 30 things that are available to us. And the impact of that is staff are engaged, and it means those members of staff that potentially could have been off sick are staying with us and still at school. So our attendance rates are really high. But also it's a USP for yourself as a trust, isn't it? It just gives another indication that the greatest strength in your trust are actually your staff, and you need to look after them. And this is just another way of proving that they do come equal first with the children. I think that if you look after your staff, you don't get many absences. And I think that I can count in, I've worked in this organisation for 10 years as a trust, but 18 years as a leader here. We don't get many staff absences. We don't get many staff leaving. But what we want to be able to do is if they do have a challenge at home, whether it's a wellbeing challenge or a mental health and wellbeing challenge or something to do with their children or physio, we've got an opportunity to get them back to work and thrive as much as possible. What's been instrumental in our development here is the work that we did with Andy from SAS. What that's allowed us to do is we've completely reformed and reshaped our people strategy. And it means that previously we thought about gimmicks and bits and pieces, but now we've got a really coherent, structured approach to what does staff wellbeing mean. We've got a people strategy in place, and we wouldn't have been able to do that. And to be fair, we didn't even consider doing that before we started working with the SAS. Oh yeah. So we did. Yeah, we looked at a variety. Our trust business manager looked at a variety of different providers. We put a matrix together. We looked at costs because obviously budgets are really difficult at schools at the moment. And yes, that was a significant factor. But alongside that was what additional services can SAS provide that will enhance what we've got in school. So it was a combination of value for money, but also the quality of the service that we've provided. And when we talk about the quality of service provided, we've done a staff engagement survey last year, and some of the comments about SAS have been really positive, like rapid response of being able to get a doctor's appointment that previously they'd not been able to get to, or they've had 3 or 4 physiotherapy sessions within 3 or 4 weeks. The speed of response gives confidence and trust to the staff, and that's what's been really impressive. My expectations of working with the SAS were twofold. First of all, will we fulfil our obligation to be able to cover the staff absence with the insurance, which is great, and we can do that. In addition to that, it was about what services we were getting as a trust over and above. So the wellbeing package, all of those sort of things. Initially, we dipped our toes into that, but then when we found that the responses from staff were really positive, that's when our trust business manager got into connected with the SAS Central team, and we put a more structured and systematic approach, and that's what helped inform our people strategy so that we could make people aware of all of those bits and pieces. So even last year when staff have been using the services, only 1/3 of staff have used the service because some of them were still apprehensive of using it. But now we've got the systems and processes in place so that everyone can access it. So in addition to the central package that we've got with the insurance and the wellbeing bits and pieces, we contacted the central team, and a consultant came and worked with us, Andy Miller. What was great about that is the vision and values of the SAS aligned to us, our vision and values, so working together, sustaining excellence, transforming learning. It was very much aligned, putting people equal first with the children. It delivered a staff meeting, a heads meeting, a leadership meeting, and at that meeting we knew that we wanted, after that session, it wasn't just the people in the room that we wanted to connect with, we wanted to connect with every single person in the trust. So then we put a Trust Wellbeing Day on, and Andy said exactly the same sort of messages. We co-hosted it, but we sent the same messages to the whole of the trust, whether we were head teachers, cleaners, premises officers, facilities managers. Everybody in the trust were in the room, so everybody understood that the greatest strength in the trust is our staff, and we value them. Yeah, the absence protection is pivotal if you've got long-term illness. So anything over, some schools have done after 3 days we would access that funding, or 5 days we'd access that funding. Coming back to the wellbeing package, the idea is that if you can access the wellbeing package, it enables the staff to get back to work quicker. So although yes, we've saved some money and achieved that value for money and sustainability through the costs, the greater costs is the people being served well and then getting them back into school. Yeah, I could give you dozens of examples, but my two favourite is a governor started at one of our local governing body meetings. And in the trust, we don't just cover staff. So every member of staff across the trust is covered, but also governors are covered. So one of the governors in his very first local governing body meeting came. We explained the package, the wellbeing package is open to all of our team. The next day, he accessed some services, and for the next 3 or 4 weeks, he did some access to physiotherapy, and meant that he could then get into schools and work with us more. So he'd only been with us one day, so that was fantastic. I could give you numerous examples of staff being able to pick up the phone and get a doctor's appointment, not just for themselves, but for the children in their care as well. And that's been transformational, because I don't know where you guys live, we can't get a doctor's appointment for love nor money, but this has enabled us to get that quicker and prescriptions quicker, and again getting staff back to school but also thriving. It's not just about getting back to school, it's about making sure they get back to school and they're happy and they're thriving and they've got that energy. I think that when you're in a really competitive market as a multi-academy trust, you need to be on the ball with trying to be the best you can possibly be. So we have a mantra in my house, we have an mantra, but we call it 1%. So I will work 1% harder than everybody else. I'll work 1% harder every day. To enable me to do that, I think the SES has provided me with, like I said before, I've personally had physio, bits and pieces, I've had support with X, Y and Z. I know that staff across the trust have had menopause support, counselling support. They've just been easy to access and they've been awesome. If I'm really honest, I wasn't the person who dealt with that, but the trust business managers found it incredibly simple. What was great is when we decided to do the Wellbeing Day, so we had consultancy support, but not only that, on the day we also had nurses there. We had different people to provide care and support, even in that session. Integrating it into the RLT ecosystem's been seamless. It's been simple. So SES aligning with the vision of the trust, like our vision is about doing something intentionally brilliant for our children, but we can't do that unless we've got great staff. And the way that we do that is try to look after our staff in the best way we can. And SES has enabled us to do some of those things. Teachers leaving, ensure that within the first 3 years or the first 5 years, the dropout rate is quite considerable. How we alleviate that as we make sure that, as a trust, what we've done is we've made sure that our people strategy is robust enough to be able to deal with some of the issues, whether it's around workload, whether it's around well-being, whether it's about teaching and learning, whether it's about CPD, all of those different elements. And SES have dovetailed quite nicely into those different elements of our strategy to enable us to for staff to stay. I think statistically across the trust in the last 10 years, I've lost 6 teachers that I didn't want to lose. Some teachers have moved on for promotions or different jobs. Tend to not lose an awful lot of staff across the trust because of the way that we look after them. And I think that the SES package has enabled that to be strengthened. The biggest benefit from working with the SES has not only been providing value for money, but it's also about helping shape our people strategy, our wellbeing strategy, and looking after our staff. Oh yeah, I would recommend SES without hesitation, without any reservation at all. Value for money, great. Quality of the services, great. But also the simplicity of accessing those services, whether it's on an app, whether it's on a telephone. The personal services that we've had through either Andy or through the central team has just been terrific.